weekend was literally for him, 6th year of being here in Detroit at Temple Israel, my 25th year of being here. And I can proudly say when I got here my first weekend, I did services, and then Josh grabbed me and we spent the day together. But we go back another almost 15 years before that, from when I was 17 and Josh was 18, I think. And his brother was my rabbi in St. Louis, and Josh was visiting his brother during the high holidays. And Rabbi Jim Bennett said, I'm really busy. Can you take care of my brother? Can you hang out? And we spent a few days together. Then we're at Goldman Union Camp for the next 10 summers together. And he's been one of my closest friends since those early days. And miraculously, beautifully, we ended up in the same town and been able to share so many years of the rabbinate together and our families and our lives. So I wanted to honor Josh and have him as a guest and a co-teacher on this morning so that we could learn from him and hear a little bit of his experiences. And I have to say, participating with Temple Israel this weekend, Friday night services, Saturday nights Havdalah, and the cocktail party in honor of Josh was beautiful. Yasher Koach to all those at Temple Israel who helped organize that and honor Josh. Really special and meaningful to watch that and be a part of it and celebrate with you. So welcome, Josh.
Thank you so much. I apologize if there is a little bit of a delay here. I am up north right now celebrating actually my son's graduation. But Mike, I will tell you, it's fantastic to be here with you. I think you described it perfectly, that it's really great to have a friend in the rabbinate. Most often rabbis end up not ending up in the communities with their closest friends from school and from prior life, but making new friends in the rabbinate. I've had the honor of having your family and our family together for these 20-some years, and it's really great. So thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. I mean, my parents ask about you all the time. It's sort of ironic. I'm like, well, don't you want to know about more? But, well, how's Josh doing? What's going on with him? So, and yeah, sorry about the delay. We thought it'd be fun to do it this Monday because just coming off a special weekend for Josh. So Friday night service, Josh, you used text as a teaching. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If not now, when? From Rabbi Hillel. And I wanted to ask you, what's been the most powerful or experience for you as a rabbi in this quarter century of your time working and studying as a rabbi?
So personally, first of all, let me explain. When I had to build my very first Temple Israel Talit 20-some years ago, I was asked to pick a verse that was most meaningful to me. And I immediately was drawn to those words. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? And those three individualized sections of those words from Hillel have been a guide for me over the course of my lifetime, because I have to both work for the community, make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my family, and have a sense of urgency in the world to do the work that we do. So for me, as I think back over 25 years of being a rabbi, it is the combination, the confluence of those three things that makes me feel so proud. It's on the first hand, being there for people, taking people to Israel, both teenagers and adults, making sure that people have social justice programming in their lives, making sure that we are with people at moments of celebration and moments of sadness. But at the same time, trying to find space to continue to grow, to have relationships with my family, to have relationships with friends like you. But ultimately, it comes down to the last of those three phrases, if not now, when. This is really the life that we've been given. This is the opportunity that we have been offered as rabbis. And I really believe it's my job to take it on right now.
Awesome. I can think of that text as something we would sing loudly and proudly at camp all the time. And I think when I look at you, Josh, as a rabbi as well, I think of our mentor, Rabbi Ron Klotz, who was the camp director at Goldman Union Camp for so many years and was really why I wanted to become a rabbi, because I wanted to be a camp director. I wanted to spend my life immersed in camp. And I think you and I felt very similarly, though in rabbinical school, having different experiences, suddenly said, maybe there's more in the rabbinate we want to do. And with our wives by our side who had other interests too, helped us see those opportunities. And we both landed in places that said, well, bring camp here, make camp live. When you say it's true.
Yeah, and I think that what was so wonderful, I always saw Ron, who was also a rabbi, as the director of a camp, and the camp became his congregation. And then, like you said, I always dreamed of that kind of a congregation. I wanted to be the rabbi of a camp community. I thought that was a brilliant opportunity to do what I love and do it in a Jewish setting. But I will tell you, 25 years later, having now experienced the opposite, as you said, I've had the opportunity to find camp in my community, whether it's attitudes on Sunday mornings in our religious schools. You've really done an amazing job of creating a whole religious school program based on the camp model. But for me, it's been youth group trips. It's been those intimate campfire moments. It's Israel hikes where in the middle of a hike, you stop and make a cup of coffee and talk about life. For me, bringing camp to the more formal Jewish community in Detroit has made all the difference. And I really believe that people, adults of all ages, love informal learning moments and get more out of those moments than perhaps the more formal ones that are typical to the congregational world. And both you and I have been in both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think about how many times we've done that together, which is been so special for us. Josh and I have probably led, I don't know, 14 trips to Israel with teens, with families, with adults over our 25 years of working as rabbis. And how many moments we can stop, pivot, say, wait, let's try this. And that is very much what camp gave us, that ability to teach on the go, in the moment, and make Judaism live wherever we are. And I love that. And I think you do that so brilliantly. You are able to teach on the fly better than anyone else I think I know. And really, I've learned how to do that even more. And you should know that Josh and I worked together as counselors side by side, as senior counselors, then with the musical at camp, where Josh was the director and I was one of the music leaders of the camp. Then as unit heads together, through the times. Then Josh was my boss as program director when I was one of the unit heads. Then Josh became assistant director at camp and I was program director. And each of these times, we had these learning moments, writing programs side by side, creating opportunities, and making it fun. I mean, that's one thing where, and I love that we still get to do this, where we could push each other and say, wait, that doesn't work, or I want to try this, or let's go that direction. And you still to this day will call me up on the phone and say, well, why'd you do that? I heard you tried this at your Shalom. And we wrestle with it and make ourselves better. And I think it helps our congregations too, which I love seeing.
It's funny, as I listen to you talk here, I'm amazed at something. With the exception of my wife, with whom I have shared 25 years of marriage, you are the person with whom I have collaborated more than anyone else. And what you said is so important. An example, we made the decision a few years ago to jointly offer a family mission in the winter times from time to time, every other year. And it would be easy for us to see ourselves as competitors and worry about the other person. But we have made a conscious choice, and we've talked about it out loud, where we say, I want my people to see you as a rabbi, and I want to learn from you as a rabbi. And in doing that, we actually have made each other better. And I love what you said. I really have turned to you, and you've turned to me over the years for obviously a friendship. And we probably shouldn't talk about some of those old camp memories that we've had together. People might not want to hear some of those stories.
They might want to, but that's the issue.
They might want to, right? They shouldn't hear those stories.
No.
But I think that idea of being able to be unafraid that your colleague and your friend down the street, who is very much a competitor, but also a collaborative programmer, it has, I will say to you personally, it's made all the difference in my rabbinate.
I appreciate that. And look, I feel blessed from when I was looking at Temple Shir Shalom 25 years ago as a place to interview. And the Shir Shalom community knows a little bit about that. It was a whim because I was hoping to interview with Rabbi Jim Bennett in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I had been interning and have this great relationship. And it was a beautiful congregation that was just blossoming. And they ended up hiring a cantor instead and pulled out of the interview process. and Temple Shir Shalom was new in the game, 6 years old, and Daniel threw his resume in, the congregational resume, and I had an extra slot now, and I thought, well, I'll try this. It'll be a warm-up interview. Josh in Detroit, fun kibitz. I'll tell him, I'll get to see him, whatever. But we sat down for lunch during my interview and had this conversation, and it was sort of this fantasy that, I guess we'd work together. I mean, who really knew? And Daniel said, we want you to work together. And I remember we did that first teen mission in 1996, and it was a blast. And we realized we have so much opportunity with this. It's really great. I don't think people realize, and I think sometimes we sort of take it for granted, but how rare it is that we're able to be in the same community, the same congregation for this length of time, and get to work with friends for this length of time, right? And of course, you and I are also very fortunate to have that with our colleagues too. But that we have someone we can turn to outside of that, internal realm that helps us and pushes us too, I think is really special.
So I know that it's probably important to say that obviously you were always going to work with a Rabbi Bennett. It was either going to be my brother or me. Has intentionally made the
Uh-oh. Josh, you're frozen. Internet in the north. He's talking about Rabbi Jim Bennett, who is one of my mentors. So hopefully Josh will come back on in a moment. Jim Bennett's the rabbi in St. Louis, Missouri, where I came from, and he was my youth group rabbi, was the 27-year-old rabbi who engaged us, got us involved, and definitely pushed me. And he was the one who I didn't know what I was going to do one summer, and he said, you're going to Goldman Union Camp, and you're going to work there. And that changed my life and creating a new community for me as well. So, Josh, you back?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do we only have audio now?
I'm going to turn my video if that helps. Does this tell me, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. We can't see you, but that's okay. We see your beautiful picture. I guess we can't hear you. I was telling
see my picture on in a moment.
So I sort of feel like it's, Josh maybe trying to avoid me now when he does that to me. So before we started this as well, Joshua and I were talking about some of those moments in our rabbinate that have been most telling and helped us realize we're in the right place, doing the right thing. Are you back with us, Josh?
I am.
Oh, excellent. So you're saying I was going to work with any Rabbi Bennett, and then I told the Jim Bennett story when you were.
But what I said is that you didn't know it at the time, but Daniel called me and said, what do I have to do to make Moskowitz come up here? So he sort of, thank God he paid me under the table to make sure that you took the job in Detroit.
Thank God. And I appreciate that too. And I'm appreciate you got that extra bonus as well, right? That's what's been this past weekend has been very reflective for you. And as someone who's going to get to go through this soon too, what was most powerful and meaningful for you over these past few days?
So somebody spoke at one of the events and said to me that I raised an entire generation of Jews. When I reflected back on that and saw just the number of B'nai Mitzvah weddings, funerals, celebrations, and kids that start off as own families, having the opportunity to hear the story from our and I think powerful, good thing. Living on people did back to me has been the best experience and something that I will cherish for a lifetime.
Yeah. I think we're blessed to believe in the relationships. That's something we got from camp too. You know, the value of the individual relationships that grow so much over time, and having been invested in that for these years and continuing that is really something that's quite fortunate for us and for our communities and our congregation too. Look, Temple Israel Detroit is blessed to have you as a rabbi in our community and to continue doing that and growing together as well in that way. I think it's really special that, again, we can never take that for granted. And for me, that's part of the fun of having you today. I think some people might be surprised to see how serious we are right now in having this conversation, because we're both goofballs and love that. And the relationships that we've had when we see each other at with our camp friends who we still have those connections with. And I heard Dan Nichols doing a song session, a campfire for the Reform movement last night, was reflecting on that too, and thinking about the time when we were all counselors together and the time that we shared together, how much that means, but how many of those connections, relationships, and bringing that into our communities, our temples, has been so meaningful and such a powerful thing for us. So
So the good news is, because now we're on camera, we have to be very careful, right? When we were younger, no pictures those crazy moments that we shared together. It's an interesting challenge for this generation, right? To be recognized that everything that they're doing is on video, on camera, and we were lucky in that way. We could play together, not worry so much about the implications. Not that we did anything so terrible, but it was a challenge, right? It's a challenge to know our kids are being watched all of the time. I do worry about that for their future.
yeah, it's no doubt, no doubt. Well, this entire generation as well. Um, Look, I feel blessed we've had these few minutes here, and the opportunity to share. And thank you for being, a co-teacher with me. Again, Monday Morning Musings is about starting our week with perspective, helping us stay connected. It began in this time of pandemic a few months ago for us just to be a little more connected, because we missed that personal touch. And I thought for the two of us sharing today and our personal connection, it would be nice for people to see that and see how we're still finding ways to stay together in the midst of difficult times as very close friends, and how much it means to us. And we hope that role models for all of us, and we are able to help one another during these difficult times, because we know that one way or another, we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay, and we're going to support each other as a community too. So thank you, Josh, for taking a few minutes of your vacation time up north before you go out on your adventure today, and sharing with us and with me, and giving of yourself in such a beautiful way.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm grateful for you, and I think it's important that we do take time. And that's really not just you and me, but everybody in our community. Take time to say how much we appreciate the people in our lives. Rabbi Mike, I appreciate you as a friend, as a rabbi, and I'm lucky to have you in my life.
Thank you, my friend. Love you, and thanks for being a part of this. You take care. Have a great trip.